Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. This is a bunch of Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are listening to The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. I'm enjoying the conversation. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday to you. As fellow on Cam on and NRA News says, glad that all of you guys could join us this evening. Even though I'm sick as hell, I'm going to go ahead and try and soldier through this and get this done tonight. I didn't want to postpone on you 2 weeks in a row. And yes, Pickle, Squib, it's time to take out the trash and lock the doors. So thank you to everybody who is showing up over here. Let's see who we got over there on the YouTube's side. Zoro117, he was in early. Tactical Pickles here. G-Webs, how you doing, sir? The Gun Snob. Mateo674. Ghost, how you doing? Roosted. D-Temp. Hello to all of y'all. I'm glad that you decided to come and spend some time with me this evening. As always, I am shocked and humbled that so many people want to spend part of their precious Friday night listening to me blather on. Excuse me. You guys are going to be hearing that off and on throughout the show because my voice is just crap, but I'm going to try to soldier on. Over here on the panel, we got John Z. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for the invite.
Roll call. How you doing, sir?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Squib, how's things going on your end?
Everybody's working for the weekend, man.
Got that right. Unfortunately, I have to work this weekend. So, yeah, hopefully, because I'm not feeling it. But tomorrow night, I got to work at 12, but that's okay. Over on the Gun Channel side, we got G-Webs and the Gun Snob. Glad to see you guys. By the way, we are simulcast over on Gun Channels. So if you're not a member of Gun Channels, you should probably be a member of Gun Channels if you're listening to my show. There's something always hopping over there. You can find it 24/7, 365. It is the water cooler of the Internet Second Amendment community. It doesn't cost anything to join. You do not have to be a creator. Although if you are a creator, you're absolutely welcome. But, you know, it's all good over there, man. You should check it out. All right, we're going to start off tonight with the 800-pound gorilla. That's in the room. We, we got to talk about.
Don't talk about John Z like that.
Wow! I'd be careful about that roll call. You ain't exactly a stout fellow, you know. If some 800-pound gorilla gets a hold of you, that's it for you.
Go ahead, wake the beast.
Sorry. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight will be the MAGABomber, so-called. This apparently right-wing wacko who has sent suspicious packages to a bunch of left-leaning figures, whether they be politicians or news organizations, which might as well be left-leaning politicians anymore. So, yeah. Piece for the New York Times. Bomb suspect arrested in Florida, charged with 5 counts, although I'm sure that's been updated since this piece. I heard that he's actually being charged with 12 counts. This is by William Rashbaum, Alan Foyer, and Adam Goldman from October 26, 2018. A Florida man who isn't... Don't all the best stories start with a Florida man? A Florida man who is an outspoken supporter of President Trump was charged on Friday with sending explosive packages to at least a dozen of the president's critics, apparently bringing to a close a bombing spree that has gripped the country just ahead of the midterm elections. Did any of these bombs actually go off?
I don't know that they were all entirely real or even close to operational, but the threat is still considered a threat. You could take a wooden block, write the word bomb on it, and mail it, and that would be considered a bomb threat. So I'm not trying to make light of the fact that somebody was putting this in the mail or hand delivered them or whatever they did.
Maybe a more accurate way to describe it would have been the bomb threat spree, but a bombing spree, I think, is kind of spinning
the bombing spree implies that they actually went off.
Yeah. A bombing spree that has gripped the country just ahead of the midterm elections. Federal law enforcement officials identified the suspect as Cesar Sayoc Jr., 56, of Aventura, Florida, just north of Miami. Mr. Sayoc was taken into custody on Friday morning, even as the crude pipe bombs continued to appear across the country. One was addressed to Senator Cory Booker, a New Jersey Democrat. Another was sent to James R. Clapper Jr., a former director of national intelligence. And a third was intercepted before it reached Senator Kamala Harris, a California Democrat. A fourth bomb, found on Friday in a mail facility in California, was addressed to Tom Steyer, a prominent Democratic donor. Mr. Steyer said in a statement at a news conference in Washington on Friday afternoon, Mr. Steyer sent a statement what? Or said that it was addressed to him, okay. At a news conference in Washington on Friday afternoon, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that Mr. Sayoc had been charged in Manhattan with 5 federal crimes, including the interstate transportation of an explosive, the illegal mailing of explosives, and making threats against former presidents. According to a criminal complaint released as Mr. Sessions spoke, the packages sent by Mr. Sayoc included photographs of his intended targets, each one marked with a red X. When asked why Mr. Sayoc had sent the bombs to Democrats, Mr. Sessions said he was not sure, adding that the suspect, quote, appears to be a partisan, unquote. On his Facebook account, Mr. Sayoc posted photos of a Trump rally that he attended during the 2016 presidential campaign. He was wearing a red Make America Great Again hat. Federal officials said that they had tracked down Mr. Sayoc, who has a lengthy arrest history after finding one of his fingerprints on a package sent to Representative Maxine Waters, a California Democrat. Mr. Sayoc's identity was confirmed, the officials added, after investigators found a match between DNA samples discovered on 2 other packages he sent and DNA that was collected during one of his previous arrests. The FBI director, Christopher A. Wray, said that the Bureau was still trying to determine if Mr. Sayoc's bombs were functional, but also noted that they contained energetic material that could be dangerous. Mr. Wray said that the investigation was active and ongoing and cautioned that there could be more bombs still undiscovered. The criminal complaint said Mr. Sayoc misspelled the names of many of his targets, rendering President Barack Obama as Barack Obama with 2 R's and Hillary Clinton as Hillary Clinton with 1 R. Some of those same spelling errors appeared in Twitter messages that the complaint attributed to Mr. Sayoc. Mr. Sayoc is a registered Republican whose arrest record in Florida dates back to 1991 and includes felony theft, drug, and fraud charges, as well as allegations that he threatened to use a bomb, public records show. His criminal history from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement indicates that at the time of his last arrest in 2015, he was 5'11" and 215 pounds. He has brown eyes, black hair, and a scar on his left arm, the record said, and was born in New York. The records listed Mr. Sayoc's occupation some years ago as manager. According to a 2012 bankruptcy petition filed in Miami, Mr. Sayoc resided at the time at his mother's home. Lives with mom, a handwritten note on the petition said, has no furniture. Mr. Sayoc was arrested around 11 a.m. Friday at an AutoZone car repair shop in Plantation, Florida, about 20 miles from Aventura, officials said. Patrol cars shut down the surrounding streets, leaving rows of businesses inaccessible for part of the morning. The authorities also seized and towed away Mr. Sayoc's white van. Some residents of Aventura reported seeing a similar white van, the windows of which were plastered with a thick collage of pro-Trump stickers, often parked in the lot of a local strip mall, the Aventura Waterways Shopping Center. Photos of the van showed that one of the stickers depicted Mr. Trump standing in front of flames and the American flag, and another was of Hillary Clinton's face in the crosshairs of a rifle scope. A third said, CNN sucks. It struck me because of the crazy conspiratorial stickers covering the windows, said David Sipkin, a documentary film producer and editor with the Raconteur production company. It was unsettling, and also it seemed to be occupied. Sometimes the door would be ajar or a window would be open, which indicated to me that maybe somebody was living in the van. Speaking at the White House earlier on Friday, Mr. Trump praised law enforcement officials for quickly arresting a suspect. These terrorizing acts are despicable and have no place in our country, he said. He added, we must never allow political violence to take root in America. The criminal complaint against Mr. Sayak was filed in federal district court in Manhattan, where he will be prosecuted. The FBI's New York office took the lead in the investigation that resulted in his arrest, and 5 of the bombs sent this week fall under the jurisdiction of federal prosecutors in Manhattan. A lawyer from the Federal Defender's Office in Manhattan, Sarah Baumgartel, is expected to represent Mr. Sayak. She could not immediately be reached for comment. One law enforcement official said that Mr. Sayak was expected to be questioned under what is known as the national security exception, meaning that he can be interviewed, at least initially, without the presence of a lawyer. The package addressed to Mr. Clapper was meant to be delivered to the New York offices of CNN, where he works as an analyst, but was intercepted at a mail facility in Midtown Manhattan, police officials in New York City said. The package addressed to Mr. Booker, a New Jersey Democrat, was found in Florida, which 2 people briefed on the matter have said has become a focus of the intense nationwide investigation into the bombs. At a news conference on Friday morning, John Miller, the New York Police Department's Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism, said a postal worker at the mail facility on 52nd Street recognized the package addressed to Mr. Clapper as similar to other suspicious packages discovered this week and froze it in the system, quote unquote. The department's bomb squad responded to the facility and secured the package for delivery to an FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, Mr. Miller said. Speaking on CNN on Friday, Mr. Clapper said he was not surprised that a device had been sent to him. He has been a frequent critic of President Trump, a similarity shared with everyone whose names have appeared on the packages discovered so far. This is definitely domestic terrorism, Mr. Clapper said. Anyone who has in any way publicly been a critic of President Trump, needs to be on extra alert. Mr. Clapper also said that on Wednesday night he had taken precautions after the first packages were discovered. While he and his wife were away from their home this week, he added, he told his neighbor not to collect their mail. Altogether, 14 explosive devices have been found since Monday, sent through the mail to a host of Democrats and other prominent figures who have been among Mr. Trump's most vocal detractors. The packages, virtually identical in plain manila envelopes, have been addressed to former President Obama, former Vice President Joseph Biden, former Secretary of State Clinton, Miss Waters, former Attorney General Eric Holder, John Q. Brennan, a former CIA director, the actor Robert De Niro, and George Soros, the billionaire Democratic donor. All of the envelopes had return address labels bearing the misspelled name of Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a Democrat whose district is in southern Florida. None of the devices inside have exploded on their own so far, and investigators are still seeking to determine whether they were even capable of detonating. But the authorities in New York and elsewhere have warned that the devices should be considered dangerous. While investigators initially thought that some of the devices were hand-delivered, federal officials now believe that all were sent through the mail. Using information collected by the United States Postal Service, investigators have focused their attention on certain Florida postal centers, including one in Opelika near Miami. And that's it on that. So already the conspiracy theorists are out saying that this is a false flag due to the timing, to paint Republicans in a bad light just prior to the midterm elections. I will admit that the timing on this is awful doggone suspicious, but I don't know that I would go so far as to say that it's a false flag. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's weird. I agree with you. I think the timing is weird, and it sure doesn't look good. My thoughts is, look at all these packages, all right? They're all delivered to people that are scumbags. And when you do scumbaggish things, somebody is willing to take that into consideration. Not only did he have Trump stickers on there. He also had stuff about Benghazi, from what I've seen from the pictures. I mean, this should be a real wake-up call to the officials that say they run the country, especially the president. Words do matter to some people, and evidently what Trump was doing rang loud and clear for this gentleman. And but this should just prove to you that, you know, we live in a free society. You have to expect this stuff. People are weird like this. Look at the guy that shot up the baseball field. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. People take this to heart. They take it to the top of the level, as they say, and they do crazy stuff like this. It's terrible. I don't condone it. But when you do crappy things in your life and you put people at risk, or you just are a horrible legislator, expect this to happen. And that's why they have the security that they have.
Well, you brought up the, and I think it was Revolver brought him up as well. The person that shot up the Republican baseball practice and actually shot Steve Scalise was a Bernie Sanders supporter, yet nobody was blaming Bernie on that. But in this instance, you know, they're wasting no time in trying to pin all responsibility for this on Donald Trump. You know, it goes to show that they're still following the playbook of never let a tragedy go to waste, or a potential tragedy in this case. You know, I do not want to believe that this was intentionally done to try to influence the election. I don't want to believe that this was that the caravan of quote unquote migrants was set in place, organized, funded, provided for, and being conducted in order to influence the elections. But these things are mighty suspicious.
Yeah, I'm the last guy to jump on board with a conspiracy theory. I think they make good fiction, good entertainment, and some things about the conspiracy theories are based in reality, or we do find out later that some parts of the theory were actually real, or they were classified, or whatever it was. But even though I'm subscribed to a channel that does conspiracy theories mostly, I don't look at them as anything more than entertainment. This reeks of false flag, unfortunately, and that's coming from a guy like me. I'm not saying that's what it is for sure, but if this guy is truly hardcore conservative, hardcore Republican, hardcore Trump, why doesn't Trump send somebody from the White House down there to set him down in a closed room and just be like, dude, if you really are all these things you say you are, do you realize you just fucked us? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if this guy was, if he's so pro-Republican or whatever, and he only targets these people right before the election, he builds sympathy. So that's where I'm kind of losing my whole. Now, he might just be dumb as a brick, because you either have to be dumb or crazy or whatever to do some of this stuff. I mean, a criminal's a criminal, but still, it's just hard for me to initially give it some time, maybe, and find some more evidence or something, but initially agree that this guy is conservative or Republican or pro-Trump or anything. If he would, I mean, if he did this, let's say in November, the elections didn't go the Republicans' way, and there was just this mass of Democrats that got elected, and then he sent these out,
then it would make sense.
Then I would believe right. Yeah, he's somebody on, air quotes, our side who doesn't represent us. He's somebody on our side who's one of these fringe nut jobs that makes us all look bad, and none of us in this room would do something like this. But you know, but to do it before doesn't make a lick of sense.
Nope. Doesn't this whole thing doesn't make sense. That's that's why. And the fact that it makes no sense whatsoever, coupled with, and again, maybe it's just chalk it up to crazy and that's it. But the fact that it makes no sense whatsoever, coupled with the timing, I'm reaching for my tinfoil hat.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Think about what they did with Kavanaugh, right? They're pulling people out of the woodwork from 36 years ago on this thing that just, making this stuff up, and they don't have no evidence, and people are against this and against that, and they're stalling and they're withholding stuff until, they can time it just right to try to put this off and do that. And it backfired on them big time. But what they were doing was really deceitful and deceptive and manipulative, and just this fits that. It's like, okay, we're at plan Z. What do we do now? Okay, well, now we're on plan AB. Flip over the book, and on the upside down on the other side, it's all right. We tried one of the most desperate, pathetic BS attempts to derail the other party. What do we got that's even crazier than this? And
general relativity. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my daughter Morgan. Thanks. I see that you're watching, sweetheart. I love you, and glad to see that you're paying attention to me for once. Anyway, Einstein out there says, clearly this is a lone operator whack job. I expect that the recent Democratic behavior pushed him over the edge. And that could be the case. It could be that their behavior with what they did with the Kavanaugh nominations could have pushed a nut job over the edge and caused them to do all this. Revolver brings up an interesting point. He says, still, the question remains, how could he possibly ride around with that many Trump stickers and not trigger an NPC soldier to destroy his van when the average person gets harassed wearing a MAGA hat? Yeah,
I mean, if you want to see a crime scene that looked like it was staged, that van is so staged.
Do you notice? I don't know if any of you, if you looked at the thumbnail for this, or if you've looked on the net and you've seen the pictures of this guy's van, those stickers all look new. They all look new. None of them look faded. They don't look like there's any that's peeled. They don't even look dirty.
For the record,
but
it's not related. For the record, it's not related to G-Webs because he has a van and he sits in parking lots.
Yeah. No, this wasn't G-Webs. He's out there in the chat. It's absolutely not G-Webs. We know, unless, well, of course, he could be having a lackey do his pose as him on the internet so that we think it wasn't G-Webs. I don't know.
Well, here's something though. I've heard some people on the conservative side kind of almost making excuses for this guy already, and we need to be careful about that because
there's nothing.
I'm not willing right now. I'm still not willing to accept that this guy is really pro-Republican just yet. But I'm not closed-minded to the thought that he could actually turn out to be what they say he is. These initial reports right off the get-go, it's still stinking too much of conspiracy theory for me to. Let's get some more facts and let's get some more information. It's interesting how they still haven't figured out Vegas, right?
Yeah.
But they got this guy in less than 24 hours or whatever,
yeah.
Right? DNA and everything. But anyhow, just be careful about sounding like you're trying to make excuses for this guy, because no matter what, if this guy is pro-2A, if he's conservative, if he's Republican, and most of the people that come on these shows are within those lines or pretty close to it, anything we do to that sounds like we're excusing it or trying to explain it away is almost saying we're saying we accept it or we justify it.
Oh, absolutely. If this guy does turn out to be a genuine right-wing nut job motivated by love of Donald Trump and hatred for Democrats, he's a piece of shit and should be disavowed by every single sane human being on the planet.
Because if you look at some of the stuff that's happened after these guys on the left have done some of this stuff, you hear some of the same sort of things, and
Yeah,
and they're really empty.
no
I mean, they're really there's nothing rational behind any of it. So, but it's still, once again, it just doesn't make sense. Why would he do it now? Why not just? Not that I want this to happen at all. I don't. This is an act of terrorism, and I don't care who these politicians are, good or bad. They don't deserve this. I mean, they take that risk when they get into public office, but and they risk their families too when they get into public office. But still, they don't deserve this. But
no,
just the timing,
I'm not saying
doesn't add up.
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it's wearing a conspiracy's uniform. It sure looks like one. That's all, Yeah, it's that it looks like.
I throw the blame on all these people. The media is trying to portray, this is Donald Trump's fault, because of his rhetoric. But if you look what's been said, even before all this stuff, you had Maxine Waters claiming for everybody to go into Trump, start yelling at politicians, disturb their everyday life. And then you had all this other stuff. You had the media hanging on them, calling them, playing stuff on the news. I mean, dude, this isn't my fault. This isn't your guys' fault. This isn't a Republican's fault. This is the collective fault of the media and these stupid politicians that are out there saying these crazy shits and having these people, do this stuff. I'm not out here saying it. It's the media. It's all these other politicians that are always constantly bickering and putting Trump down, doing their Twitter things too. I mean, I blame it on all of them. This is what you get when you drive this narrative, when you put this stuff in there.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're getting at. They started this, and now they're reaping it, because if they had not been doing all this underhanded stuff, nobody would have put bombs in the mail and that sort of thing. And how vicious they've been, and how they just won't let it go, and all this other stuff. But we've been on this side saying we're supposed to be the radical gun-toting, Bible-clutching nut jobs, and we're not doing anything. And then this guy does this in the name of our side, supposedly, allegedly, air quotes still, right? And that makes all of us saying, you guys, look at what you guys are doing. We're not doing any of that. It just dissolves all of it in one fell swoop.
Well, I want to throw this little fact.
Go ahead.
Oh, 1 second. I want to throw this in there. CNN said this guy had a criminal record where he threatened to use some kind of device against a utility company. Well, wouldn't make that a felony? So when was the last time he actually could vote? He does have a felony record, so he can't vote. If you're a felon, you can't vote.
His rights restored. You can do that.
Yeah. Would we ever know that? No, they wouldn't tell us that, would they?
Bro, I could see this guy being some sort of plant from the news agency. Somehow or another, they figured out they got the dumbest, most mental guy and did this because they needed a good story. And that's really going off the deep edge on the whole conspiracy thing. But it's just, some of this stuff, it's making conservative people look bad, even though we're not associated with them. And it's getting a little bit deep into the conspiracy theory territory, and I don't think bad happen to these people. I think what they do, they're making their own trouble. But just be careful about how you make it sound, because you're almost making it sound like it's justified.
No, there's no justification for it. But what I find funny is that the media, excuse me, is that the media is excoriating Trump, saying that it's all his fault. It's all his fault. He's so divisive. His rhetoric is so horrible. Oh, he's encouraging violence against the media and Democrats. When the Democrats have been doing that and the media have been doing that very thing for months. Months. You know, Maxine Waters talking about freaking harassing Republicans wherever you see them, hounding them to the ends of the earth. You got Cory Booker talking about kicking them. You got Hillary Clinton talking about how we can't be civil with each other. Well, no freaking wonder why.
Yeah, and that's what Road Call is talking about, and I get that. And they are bringing, they're creating this sort of thing. But the fact that they're deflecting it off on Trump is still, it's more desperation on their part.
Oh, yeah.
The average uninformed voter out there, though, they're so dumb, they'll fall for
the media the ones defending Antifa as freedom fighters. Yes. Absolutely right.
You guys do realize that, thank God, we have people in this country who have been Democrat voters, who have been supporters of left-wing ideas, that have come to their senses and see how irrational and destructive their side is running. They see how destructive the Democrats can be and have been for the last at least 2 to 2.5 years. And thank God you have movements like the Walk Away movement.
Yep.
And you have people who are even far left who've come at least centrist because of the negative rhetoric that has been spewed off the tongues of those that are as guilty as the garbage they spill out. So we all know how the Democrat Party loves to all of a sudden forget and forgive everything that the people on their party do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Notwithstanding, people have come to the realization that they've woken up. People are woke now. They see what their party stands for, and it's not good. It's another Venezuela waiting to happen. And thank God we have that hashtag walk away movement. And hopefully more people will get on board and realize that's not the direction we want to go. I'm not telling you go vote here or go vote there. But people are waking up and saying that's not where they want to be anymore, because those people are vile and vicious. And blaming Trump is not going to help anybody, and creating additional conspiracy theories is not going to help anybody. So people don't even watch the fake news, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. No, people don't even watch those anymore. Look at their ratings. They're so low because of the vile garbage that they spit out every morning and afternoon and every evening. So thank God we have people who are woke. We have people who see what's really going on. Sadly, you'll have the NPCs that still exist out there that are not able to think for themselves, or they'll vote the way they want to vote because they get free stuff and they don't have to do anything for it. And yeah, you're always going to have those computer pieces that just don't work for whatever reason. But whatever is the case in this case, we don't have all the facts yet. We know all the conspiracies that could possibly be true or not true. We know all that.
Yeah.
But let's wait for the facts. Let's not be like the news agencies. Let's not make stuff up. Let's not get crazy, and just wait for the facts to come out. And hopefully the facts will come out. Hopefully the government won't screw up like Las Vegas, and then everything will disappear and we'll never hear from it again.
Well, all I can tell you is the only thing I know for sure is that we'll never know for sure. That's just how that's going to be. All right, we're going to move on from this depressive stuff to something a little bit happier anyway. I have decided that I want to do something nice for my Patreon supporters. I have left over from my 1,000 sub giveaway one of these Mora companions in carbon steel, and I'm going to give to one of my patrons right now. So I have a bag with their names in here. Let's go ahead and pick one out. Michael McNamara, thank you for supporting Budget Guides and Gear Reviews and being part of the channel. If you will, I'll go ahead and send you an email via the Patreon to let you know. So I don't know if you're watching tonight or whatnot, but I will absolutely get in touch with you and send you a knife.
Awesome. Congratulations.
If I think I'm going to start doing this every once in a while, hopefully at least monthly for my patrons. So if you guys want to be a part of it, head on over to Patreon and be a budget buddy.
Somewhere in Iowa, somebody's jumping up going, "That's me!"
Yeah, no kidding. Yay, I got a knife. Hopefully now he's not going to go all stabby with it. That would be bad. No, one of my supporters would never be crazy. All right. So moving on. This is a piece from Gallup. For those of you that don't know who Gallup is, they are a polling organization. They take polls, obviously polls, to get opinions on different things. They do a lot of political stuff. This is from October 19th, 2018. Snapshot: majority in U.S. now oppose ban on assault rifles. Washington, D.C. American support for a ban on semi-automatic guns in the U.S. has dropped 8 percentage points from a year ago when opinions were more evenly divided after the mass shooting in Las Vegas. Last year's measure was unusually high for the trend over the past several years. The current 40% is back to within a few points of where it was between 2011 and 2016. The latest findings from an October 1st through 10th survey mark the 8th time since 1996 that Gallup has gauged public opinion on banning semi-automatic guns known as assault rifles. Excuse me, I'm going to have to put a cough drop in. Let's see, where was I? Known as assault rifles. These types of guns, which reload automatically but fire only once per trigger pull, have been used in a number of mass shootings in the U.S. in recent years. Background: support for banning assault rifles has changed over time. In 1994, President Bill Clinton signed a ban on assault weapons in the U.S. When Gallup first asked Americans about such a ban in 1996, 57% were in favor and 42% opposed. By the time the 10-year ban expired in 2004, support had fallen to 50%. In recent years, opinion has generally been against such a law, and an attempt to pass a new ban after the Newtown, Connecticut school shooting was defeated in 2013. In 2016, 36% supported a ban and 61% opposed one. But last year, after the Las Vegas shooting left 58 people dead and nearly 500 injured, support for a ban rose 12 points. The current 40% support for an assault rifles ban is below the historical average of 47%. The latest data provide further evidence that public opinion typically shifts to higher support for tougher gun laws in the aftermath of a traumatic national event such as a mass shooting, but gradually reverts to prior levels as the memory of it fades. Views of an assault weapons ban are sharply polarized politically. Since 1996, Democrats have been more supportive than Republicans of a ban on semi-automatic guns. Gosh, man, my eyes must be sick. I can't read tonight. Currently, they are more than twice as likely as Republicans to favor such a ban, 56% versus 25%. Republicans' current reading ties with 2016 as their lowest. 38% of independents support a ban, continuing the recent trend in which they are more closely aligned with Republicans than with Democrats. The highest support for a ban among each party was 50% of Republicans in 1996, 63% of Democrats in 1996, 2000, and 2017, and 63% of independents in 2000. Americans without a gun in the home are more likely than those with a gun with a gun to favor banning assault rifles, 46% versus 33% respectively. This 13% difference is in line with a 14% average difference historically. Well, that makes sense. If you don't own a gun, you really don't care. So there you go. Right now, the survey says most people do not favor a ban on assault weapons. So for whatever that
was there anything in there about banning the NFA?
No. I don't know if Gallup
Too
has
bad.
done that poll.
Yeah.
I
That
think
would be
with
nice,
the number
though.
of FUDs in the ranks of the gun owners, I don't think that would get very much support.
Yeah.
I know. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it would.
What genius out there decided to define what an assault weapon is? Like, where can you go and find that? Where the idea of this makes an assault weapon? Where'd that come from?
Well, that changes as they need it to fit their agenda.
That's my point.
Well, now, if you mean assault weapon as the cliche term that's been used by politicians and media, that's kind of a late 80s, early 90s kind of thing. If you mean the word assault rifle, that was coined in 1944 by Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm talking. I know about that. That's what I always think that's funny that, we're Nazis, yet you're quoting, a coined phrase by Hitler and the Nazis.
Those people do a lot of things that Hitler would have done too. So let's
But
keep
in
things
Maryland,
in perspective.
E-Tip says he thought assault weapon was used to kill flies. I've seen that thing. I want to get one. It looks neat. It looks like it would be fun.
Yeah.
See, what they do with the whole assault weapon thing is they come up with a list of features, and if it has a certain number of these features, it is hence an assault weapon. Whereas an assault rifle, by military definition, is based on its function and the size of or the caliber and the function of the firearm, with a little bit having to do with the way you fire it or the way you hold it or the size to some extent.
Hey, Clay, over on the Gun Channel side. Sorry, I didn't refresh earlier and see your question. Did he physically hurt anyone? No, the guy never did physically hurt anyone. And yeah, I agree. He's mental one way or the other, whether he's a patsy being used in a false flag or he is just a complete standard garden variety whack job. He's nuts.
Oh, yeah. Someone took that guy off his medication way too soon.
Yeah.
If you look at the new legislation they're trying to put out there, when I was at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, now instead of having, if it has 5 features or 4, it's 1 feature. So if any one of your firearms have 1 feature,
that could be anything.
Well, exactly. It could be a grip. It could be a barrel. It could be the stock of a firearm.
Don't forget, it also matches what their agenda for the day is.
Yeah. So, I mean, be looking out for this nasty one that's supposed to be coming down the pipeline soon.
Which one? You have to be specific.
I believe it's HR 5087. They have rewritten
it. Federal level? Federal level?
Yeah, it's at a federal level. It's the one that they were trying to hook up last year, but it failed miserably because it probably didn't go with the narrative.
Well,
to some
folks,
of the politicians.
we need to make sure that conservative turnout for the midterm elections is as high as we can make it, because that's what's riding on it.
And we are, I believe, less than 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah. If we maintain control of the House and the Senate, we don't have to worry about things like that much. But if we don't, Katie barred the door. If they can, particularly if they can get a supermajority and override a veto, the last chance we'll have is the courts. Let's see, Seven Wonders, which, hello, I don't think I recognize your name out there, so thanks for dropping by. Glad to see you. Absolutely glad that you wanted to come be part of the conversation tonight. Anyway, Seven Wonders says, honestly, most libs can't even tell you what they think an assault weapon is. And you're absolutely right. And that segues right into the next story that I wanted to talk about. This is a piece from Breitbart on October 23rd by AWR Hawkins. The headline reads, Student Gun Violence Summit. Ban sale of, quote, weapons that fire velocity rounds, unquote. The Student Gun Violence Summit put forward a Bill of Rights calling for a ban on the sale of, quote, weapons that fire velocity rounds. The Bill of Rights did not acknowledge that all bullets travel at a certain velocity. Rather, their statement was part of a larger push to ban the sale of commonly owned semi-automatic rifles in America. The Student Gun Violence Summit was sponsored by Gabby Gifford's Gun Control Group, the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, and Michael Bloomberg-funded Everytown for Gun Safety, among others. The Bill of Rights has 14 points, with number 10 saying, require all gun dealers, sellers, and owners to report stolen guns, prohibit the sale under the National Firearms Act of semi-automatic military-style weapons that fire velocity rounds, bump stocks, and other accessories that alter the original firing capacity of a firearm. Note the demand to ban accessories that alter the original firing capacity of a firearm. In other words, if a gun came from the factory with a 10-round magazine, the Student Gun Violence Summit wants a ban on using 15, 20, or 30-round magazines in that firearm. The number 2 point in the Student Gun Violence Summit Bill of Rights is the demand for more qualified counselors for schools, and number 5 seeks quarterly, quote, de-escalation trainings for law enforcement. They additionally demand more money for poor neighborhoods, year-round programs for youth under 25, universal background checks for gun sales, and nationwide implementation of court-issued gun confiscation orders. The Frequently Asked Questions tab on the Student Gun Violence Summit webpage indicates the group enjoyed, quote, professional security on site while compiling their Bill of Rights. So, yes, you're absolutely right, Seven Wonders. They have no clue what the hell they're talking about. And yet people are taking them seriously.
Well, that seems funny. My friend has got a 17, and it's a center fire. And I don't know exactly what the feet per second is right now, but those things boogie. And it's pretty comparable to my, 62 grain 5.56. So are we to believe that the 17 is the same as the 308?
Well, that's a velocity round. We need to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's my point.
Armament and Axis, how you doing, sir? Yeah, these people are they're bug shit crazy. But unfortunately, they're being taken seriously by the establishment, but yeah, I mean, they're being taken seriously by the media. They're being taken seriously by legislators. They're being taken seriously by anyone and everyone who finds it expedient to take them seriously so that they can further their agenda. And Seven Wonders, well, thank you, sir. I'm glad to have you as a sub. Hopefully you continue to enjoy the content. So let's see. What is next? Mateo674 says, I say again, let's just ban stupid people. Many problems solved. Yeah, no kidding. Clay on the Gun Channel side says velocity rounds. WTF is that? Yeah, I don't know. That's your guess is as good as mine. They don't even know.
Well, and we've got people in the legislature that don't know anything. These people that are writing these bills and passing these bills don't know anything about firearms either.
That's right. Normally we end this show at around 8 o'clock, but I still got a lot of stuff to do. I do not have to go to work tonight, so I'll stay on as long as you guys want to stay on and talk about stuff, and as long as my voice holds out. If you guys like that, awesome. We can do that. Just let me know what you want. Of course, you guys will let me know what you want as their numbers drop. So I guess if I'm down to like 3 people, it's pretty much time to shut the door, right?
As far as our elected officials being ignorant on terminology when they're writing these laws and saying these things on TV, This is why I get so critical about us, the Pro 2A people, the gun guys, the people that are into this, and we're fighting for our rights and our kids' rights and our grandkids' rights, to try to use proper terminology whenever possible. There are laws that are written, these are legal documents, where they exchange words like clip for magazine and bullet for cartridge, and they are two specific things. If there's a way to throw out the law because the words in it are inaccurate, we could win on a technicality. There's a bunch of laws we could probably find a way to throw out.
Oh, that would be great.
It's important for us to know the terminology, know the difference, educate people who spout this BS to us or want to know, hey man, why don't you ever call it a clip? Because it's not a clip, you know, or explain, yes, I do have a clip. I have a clip with 8 rounds of 30-06 that goes into the internal magazine in my M1 Garand, or Garand if you want to, you know. But the whole thing being is, that's why I'm on people on our side about using proper terminology, because our politicians aren't, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're talking about guns that don't exist. They're talking about characteristics that aren't there. They're doing more of the, you know, well, it's all in the movies, so it must be real stuff, and we can't afford to do that. And especially if you're going to educate people who say stuff like, I don't know anything about guns, but I know this. We just need to register them. Then everything will be fine. Pull, hit the brakes. What did you just say?
Yeah.
You know,
Words
but
mean
yet,
things,
yeah. So
that's it.
just be cognizant of not only is your behavior, how you act, how you present yourself, one thing. And believe me, I'm guilty of blowing my top at anti-gunners. I've done it on air. Okay.
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. And fortunately, I've got good friends in gun channels that have pulled me back because I've let these guys push my buttons and I've reacted. And so I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say, oh, I've never done it. I've done it. Okay. It's not just about keeping your cool when they want to push your buttons. It's also about getting them to understand that some of this stuff is fantasy, or that's not the way it works. Or we all took physics in high school. Some of us were sleeping like me, but in physics, we learned blah, 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 blah. And what you're saying it wouldn't even work in science, you know, but yet they want to make a law about it. And then you're going to, it's just, you know, one problem after another after another. So it comes down to how we represent our community for one of the solutions to getting things righted, I think.
That's right. You know what? I think that since we're doing a special extended edition, and I looked in my box of stuff, and I have one more of those knives left, I think I'm going to give another one away to one of my patrons just to do it, because they've been giving
somebody else get ready to jump up and go, that's me.
Yes, absolutely right. So let's see what we got here. And this knife goes to Lisa McFalls. Congratulations, you won as one of my patrons. Won a knife. Thank you for being supportive of the channel and everything that I've done here. And it looks like you just joined the chat here too. So hey, good for you. So now you know. Hit me up with your address and I will send it to you. So thank you, and thank you. Turn the camera back off. All right, now let's move on to, let's see. Apparently the violence in Chicago continues, which I'm sure absolutely no one is surprised by. This is a piece in Breitbart again by AWR Hawkins from October 23rd. Let's see. Chicago prosecutor, 2-year-old killed after gang leader ordered gunfire during birthday party. Not in Chicago. Don't they have all that gun control? Aren't there laws against people having guns and stuff? Wow. Anyhow, the Chicago prosecutor says 2-year-old Julian Gonzalez was shot and killed when a gang leader, Alexander Varela, ordered gunfire during a birthday party. The shooting occurred October 6th, and a variety of charges against Varela were announced October 22nd. The Chicago Tribune reports that there was a birthday party on Varela's block, and a fight broke out during the party. Some of the partygoers came out into the alley and began fighting with Varela and other members of his Maniac Latin Disciples gang. 22-year-old Gonzalez was unwittingly in the alley when Varela allegedly ordered one of his gang members to open fire. Let's see, where is this? Let's go. Assistant State's Attorney Jamie Santini said Varela yelled out to his fellow gang members, "Bust, bust, bust," which is an order for the armed gang member to fire his gun. Witnesses began to run and take cover. Seconds after making the command to shoot, gunshots were fired from a single gun that had an attached laser sight that was shining a red laser light. Gonzalez was shot and died about an hour later.
Of course, the laser made it more lethal, right?
Yeah. Deputy Chief of Detectives Brendan Dinahan said Varela is a gang member and he thinks he owns the block. So he's going to come down there and insert himself into the argument. Like, I don't want you arguing on my block. This is my territory. Dinahan added, this is a reprehensible example of the culture that we need to change. We have civil disputes that are constantly being settled by pulling the trigger. On October 15th, the Tribune reported that Chicago gun crime had resulted in the deaths of 448 people year to date. Excuse me. There was an overall total of 2,467 shooting victims in Chicago between January 1st, 2018 and October 15th, 2018. That figure includes fatal and non-fatal shootings. On September 4th, amid Chicago's rising body count, Breitbart News reported that Rahm Emanuel ended his plans to seek a third term as the city's mayor. And good freaking riddance. So yes, despite Chicago's regimen of heavy gun control, people are still getting killed there regularly, even people that shouldn't be.
Yeah, they had a funeral for some kind of rap guy that died, and they had a shootout there too. And I think that was yesterday or the day before. So they're still shooting each other.
I don't think it'll ever stop. Not in Chicago. There's some very broken systems in that city that need to be fixed before any of this will stop.
Chicago, creating useless gun laws since 1934.
Yep. Armament and Access says the laser makes it more killy.
Oh, okay.
Mateo says, indeed, A&A, the laser makes them dead. No possibility of a zombie return. Yeah.
It'd be like one person got shot and 10 other people were accidentally blinded.
Yeah, no kidding. That'll do it, too. All
right.
right.
Or somebody's going to try to sue Crimson Trace or something.
Oh, it'll happen. If it hasn't already.
If he would have shined the light at an airplane, it'd be a national story for a week.
Yeah, it'd be a federal crime, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But
the news would be covering it all day long for a week.
Seven Wonders says, just wait. I thought Obama fixed Chicago. Yeah, right. If you mean fixed in the veterinarian sense, then yes, probably.
Could you maybe if you guys don't want to comment on this, then I totally understand. I don't mean to put anything awkward out there, but I'm going to anyway. If this was an all-white neighborhood and 400 some odd people a year were getting murdered, do you think it would get brushed under the carpet as much as it does?
Not a bit.
It's disgusting to me
that
horrific. These media people and these politicians call everybody racist, everybody biased, everybody rich and greedy, and capitalism is terrible. Yet these young black and brown kids are dying by the dozens, day by day by day, in one of the biggest cities on the planet. Chicago, people all around the world know the city of Chicago, and nobody is doing anything about it. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares about it. That is a travesty.
That is, and it's it's. Believe me, you're not the first to draw that connection. I don't know what what it is that I don't know if it's outright racism. I don't know if it's the fact that Chicago has been under Democrat rule for decades and has been and demonstrates the failure of their policies, and that's why they don't bring it up. I would suspect that's probably it, because it doesn't further their agenda, because believe me, if it did further their agenda, they'd be shouting it from the rooftops.
Look, there's the way I look at it is when you step up, when you wake up in the morning and decide this is what I'm going to do today, you're ready, willing, and able to take all the consequences. So when you wake up and put on your, colored flag, whether it be red, white, whether it be green or yellow, whatever your gang color is, you are fully understanding that I might die today, I might get beat up today, I might go to jail today because I'm a gangbanger and this is what I do. But your next door neighbor, the 2-year-old kid that got shot, I bet you his parents aren't, thinking about flying gang colors now. They're thinking about, now my kid is dead. And the other next door neighbor is like, well, now my kid can't go outside anymore. What am I going to do? I work at McDonald's or Taco Bell. It's not like I can just up and move my family away. I'm doing the best I can to keep the house that I got. And everywhere around me are gangbangers and drug dealers and prostitutes and other tons of criminals. I can't leave my house.
What about the mentality of the people in there? The simple stuff like don't snitch. Cops are out to get you, stuff like that. If you're a good person living in this neighborhood, trying to raise a family and trying to do the right thing, going to work and paying your taxes and trying to keep your yard clean and doing everything else, and you're overwhelmed by this, how many of these people that are gangbangers are your cousins?
Yeah.
Are your neighbors? Are your coworkers' sons? How much of this stuff do you know about?
Well, see, Baltimore.
It's kind of like the whole. You know how people get on people in the people who aren't in the Muslim community get on people in the Muslim community about why don't you do something about this? Why don't you turn in your cousin who's the terrorist or whatever it is, and they don't do anything about it. I almost feel like it's like this in some of the inner cities because of stuff like don't snitch.
It's exactly like that. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing that doesn't value education. It's a cultural thing that values, not talking to the cops, that values, it values someone who can get over on someone else. It values someone who can prey upon someone else. It's a cultural issue, and it's not necessarily a black-white thing, because I know plenty of white kids that have come up in the same culture. They come into my facility every day. So it's not a racial issue. It's a cultural thing. And that cultural thing is brought on by poverty, it's brought on by joblessness, by the education and whatnot. And
it's also brought on by putting off the blame on everybody but yourself.
By failed policies of those who run the city.
Yeah, but at a certain point, some people have to accept responsibility for their actions. You guys seen the video of the guy who got shot? He got shot. He was climbing into or climbing out of the window of a house he was robbing for drug money, and the owner pulled up in the driveway and seen him in the window and shot him. And they were interviewing the cousins or the sisters or something like that, and they were going, all he was trying to do was steal some so he could make some money. Yeah, and and it's like, wait. You're just condoning. I understand that, getting blasted for theft is not exactly, cool. I'm not justifying that at all. But you're saying that him stealing because he needed some money for clothes, I think she said. He needed money for clothes, so he was... It's like, wait, do you realize you're perpetuating a situation in your own neighborhood where people can't even leave their houses without worrying about being robbed, and you're saying it's okay because it's your relative? But if this person had come over to your house and robbed you, that would be, so... And I'm not saying it happens only in black neighborhoods, because that ain't the case either.
No, as I said, it's a cultural thing. Listen, if you are a product of a culture of dependence, depending on the government, that means that if someone else is doing something for you, then anything that's done is not your fault. It's all someone else, because it's all someone else doing it for you. And that's why the culture values, people who get over on someone else, yet looks at someone who goes to work and busts their ass to earn a living as a sucker, a mark. The values are topsy-turvy, upside down anytime that you depend on someone else for something. If you depend on the government for your living, nothing you do has any consequence. Nothing you do has any relevance. Nothing you do has any, you're not responsible for it because it's all the government. It's all someone else. It's all someone else's
David,
fault.
I don't know how you
That's
change
it.
it.
It's a cultural thing.
I don't know how you change it until
I don't.
grown adults start being responsible for themselves and grown adults start thinking on their own and realizing that these names that they keep voting for decade after decade after decade, family member after family member, are not there to help them, and they need to start thinking for themselves and making better choices.
Well, and it's reducing and getting rid of that culture of dependency that you have to do. But the politicians enjoy having people dependent upon them because they're going to vote for them then, because they're the ones giving them the stuff. They figured that out, and that's why they do it. That's why they all of their policies have been set in place to create and expand the culture of dependency. I mean, think about it. The whole socialized medicine thing. That's nothing more than an excuse to expand the culture of dependency, get more people dependent upon the government. So for something, for anything that they do. Why do you think they don't want us to have our firearms? So that we're dependent upon the government for protection. Anything that they can do to make you more dependent upon the government, they want.
It's not really all that far-fetched.
Their power base. And that's when you do that, this is what you get. That's why I point at Chicago as an example of failed Democrat policies, because they have done everything they could to create a culture of dependency in Chicago, in Detroit, in all these huge urban areas, and they have all failed. They're all cesspools because of it. Sorry, I got on a rant. I'm paying for that shit. My throat hurts now. Go ahead and talk for a while so I don't have to.
I love rants.
Shit.
Budget has.
I think I broke myself. I think I broke myself there, man. Damn. Woo.
Sometimes you gotta let it out, man.
Everybody should rant. And everybody
David, how often
prove me wrong?
How often do you go to Baltimore?
Throughout my life, I've spent oodles of time in Baltimore. Nowadays, I only go there when it's necessary.
Okay.
Do you have some Baltimore questions?
No, I mean that's the big urban place near you that is crime-ridden and notorious. I mean, I've got Detroit next to me, and I only go there when I need to, have to. It's not that I'm afraid. It's just there's nothing there for me.
That's pretty much why I don't go to Baltimore. So there's no reason for it anymore. I can get anything I need from around here, and I don't need the interaction with that mass amount of people. I like to stay out where I can control the crowd that I'm around. But as far as like the Baltimore situation, I don't know exactly how it works in every city like Detroit or Chicago. But as far as DC and Baltimore and a couple other little places, but just speaking on Baltimore, most of the gang hangout areas, they don't live there. They'll scout out a certain neighborhood to take over, and then they'll take it over. And hold on one second.
Maybe it was the feds knocking on the door. They're coming for him.
Yep, it's those gang members took over his neighborhood.
Hey, Budget, you got the feds at your door too. The Sudafeds.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no kidding, right?
Sorry about that. But anyway, they'll scout out the neighborhood, and then they'll take over the neighborhood, and they'll do what they do throughout the day. And if you can go ahead and you can pile everybody up and you can fight back, and you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose bad. You can call the cops, And when the cops eventually leave, they're coming back. You know, these guys terrorize these neighborhoods. You know, it's not like on TV where they're out giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving, you know, buying off the neighborhoods. They're terrorizing these neighborhoods. And eventually, when the cops put too much pressure on, they pack up and move to a different block. All you can watch it. If you drive down through the city for every day for a year, you'll see the same guys on different blocks as they go, and then you'll see the cops. So it's not like it, you know, you see on TV where, you know, don't come on my block because this is where I live at. You know, the guy's sitting on his front porch like in the movies. You know, like, Boys in the Hood. You know, they're sitting on their front porch, and that's their gang territory. It doesn't work that way around here. Even
Ain't
in your
Denzel Washington saying, "I'm King Kong"?
right, yeah. You know, even in whether it's the white neighborhood, the Korean neighborhood, the black neighborhood, or whatever, it depends on what crew comes through. Because if you're sitting out on your front porch today, when they come in tomorrow, you're gonna do what they tell you to do. You can, and believe me, I'm no coward, and I believe in fighting back. But they don't just randomly pick neighborhoods. They pick neighborhoods that are already weak, that got a whole bunch of grandmas living in there with their kids, you know, because everybody else is either working or in jail or whatever. So they're not going to fight back, you know. Uh, these criminals aren't just, they're intelligent people. They plan a lot of this stuff out. This isn't like 30, 40 years ago when, you know, you just had a bunch of thugs standing on the street. These guys are getting better at what they're doing.
Are you an Orioles fan?
Yes, unfortunately, I am an Orioles fan. It was a very rough season.
I like the Orioles.
Awesome.
All right. I've recovered a bit. Thanks for thanks for talking, so I didn't have to for a minute. Next story, piece in Breitbart. Levi's doubles down on gun control, donates jeans for actors to wear in Everytown PSA. Levi Strauss & Company has doubled down on last month's gun control support by providing jeans for actors to wear in an Everytown for Gun Safety's gun control PSA. On September 4, 2018, Breitbart News reported that Levi's was launching a $1 million gun control campaign. On September 9, 2018, we reported that Levi's campaign would be carried out in partnership with Michael Bloomberg-funded Everytown for Gun Safety. Levi Strauss CEO Chip Berg announced that his company wants to see universal background checks instituted, thereby outlawing private gun sales in America. He did not mention the fact that mass public attackers acquire their guns at retail via background checks nearly 100% of the time as it is. Nevertheless, Levi's gun control campaign continues. Teen Vogue reports that the company donated 250 pairs of jeans for the production of Everytown's gun control PSA. According to Teen Vogue, Everlane, State Bags, Banana Republic, Gap, Cynthia Rowley, and Rachel Antonoff all made donations to the production of the gun control video as well. And I will add, but wait, there's more. Here is a piece from AmmoLand by David Codrea, I think. It's posted. Yeah, it's by David Codrea, posted October 25th, 2018. Wrangler gets wardrobe credit in latest Bloomberg anti-gun video. Members of the fashion industry are teaming up with Everytown for Gun Safety USA to lend their support to a powerful new music video bringing awareness to gun safety in schools. Teen Vogue crows to its readers. This is so powerful. They would want those with minds ignorant and weak enough to be influenced by their claptrap to believe that. After all, these are the pretty little liars trying to eviscerate due process by closing a so-called ridiculous boyfriend loophole. They also consider it the height of personal courage to guide kids, their teens, right, on how they can indulge in anal sex, smearing, sorry, I could have probably chosen a different word, anyone who considers that inappropriate behavior as homophobic, that is, a hater. Set to Sia's latest release, Enough, or I don't know how never heard of that person. Anyhow, the clip features 120 students from the National Dance Institute, a public dance program in New York City, dancing, sending a message about gun violence, the agenda piece explains. To do their part, members of the fashion industry stepped up to help outfit the cast. Levi's donated 250 pieces of denim, and Everlane, State Bags, Banana Republic, Gap, Cynthia Rowley, and Rachel Antonoff all made donations on their own. Stupid videos funded by big money interest and produced with New York ad agencies are what we've come to expect from gun-grabbing astroturfers. True, they would rather not get caught in lies, and true, they laugh off children encouraged by adult handlers to play with graphic sex toys. Hey, you can't prepare them too early for Teen Vogue guides. But when you consider the only ones that find these efforts so powerful are already in the disarmament cult, I say let them waste their money on this nonsense rather than on more effective efforts. Still, I wouldn't mind finding out which school this was filmed at, and is it tax if excuse me, which school this was filmed at, if it is tax funded, and if the administrators would allow its campus and facilities to be used to produce a pro-gun video, and for the same terms they gave the Bloombergians. What did the taxpayers get for this anyway? Speaking of money, there's one outfitter credited at the end of the Enough video Teen Vogue neglected to mention for some reason. Wrangler. See for yourself at 356 into the video. Says wardrobe provided by Banana Republic, Everlane, Everytown for Gun Safety, Cynthia Rowley, Gap, Levi's, The Fluid Project, Rachel Antonoff, State Bags, Wrangler. We've known for years that Levi is run by gun grabbers and that they are proudly part of the Enough campaign with Michael Bloomberg's Everytown business leaders for gun safety. But Wrangler? That will surprise readers who made very positive comments about them under his column, including Wranglers are fine and a lot less expensive. I'm a Wrangler guy and have been since Levi's last foray into the anti-gun movement. Left Levi's years ago due to price. Wranglers for the last 20 years. Wrangler this, Wrangler that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Wrangler, what's the deal? Are you donating to Everytown now, or were your products used and your company credited without your knowledge or sanction? Have you earned these accolades? I messaged them on Facebook, and they have not replied at this writing. I wouldn't expect them to unless enough of you care to spread the word. And what is it the gun grabbers do? Demand action, or at least some unequivocal answers.
When you said that, the first thing I thought was, they got Wrangler too? Damn.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Because I wear nothing but.
Because it's either that or I'm going to be de-pantsed.
I'm going to have to start wearing Dickies or Lee's or something.
Oh, yeah, there is Dickies and Carhartt. And Duluth.
Seven Wonders says for the super in a super chat, and thank you for that, sir. I'm beginning to think that the USA might be better off dividing into two countries. What do you folks think? I think that would be horrific, and
they tried that once, and the liberals won the war. So I don't know if I'm willing to roll the dice again on that.
I think all we would be doing would be creating another enemy if we did that. If we split, plus we would be dividing our natural resources and manufacturing capacity in general, weakening both entities. I think as with as many warts as we have and as many flaws as our country has, it's the best we've got.
See, you guys are looking at it from the wrong angle. If we divide into two countries, and just go ahead and call it left and right. All the lefties go to the West Coast. All the righties come to the East Coast. All the righties bring all of our weapons and ammo. All the lefties are unarmed. We wait 2 days and then invade the left.
Okay, good, because I want to move out to the West Coast, but I don't want to be left-winger, so...
And think about it, Squib. You could own we could call it Squibfornia.
Oh, man.
Seven Wonders says, aren't we already enemies? Yes, we are, but if you have a geographical component, it makes it a whole lot easier to get into a shooting war. And that would not be a good thing. You know, any civil war that we had would be horrific. Rupan RX, which, by the way, hey, welcome to the chat tonight, says Elizabeth Warren ad just played. Thanks, budget. Hey, man, I don't determine what ads play on my stuff, man. That's the algorithm, man.
Can I go on just a small little rant for just 1 second?
Go right ahead.
I listen to conservative talk radio from the DC area, and it drives me absolutely nuts that once an hour there's a Sanjay Gupta CNN commercial. What is that about? Oh man, that drives me so crazy. Why are you advertising the quote unquote other side or enemy or whatever you want to call it? Sanjay Gupta is far, far from being a conservative, yet they play his voice on conservative radio every day.
David, if you want your rant to be more
The
powerful,
check cleared.
have more caffeine before you rant. I suggest maybe a Pepsi followed by a Monster and a couple cups of coffee. Why does that name sound familiar, though? The Gupta name. Why does that sound familiar to me?
It's CNN's chief medical correspondent. Believe me, I know that by heart right now. He's constantly, every hour they play his commercial.
What commercials?
And it's helping you live a better life.
Clay on Gun Channel side says Carhartt for the win. That's echoing a lot of the stuff over here on the YouTube side too. Carhartt for the win.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to take a page out of the Slavics people's book, and I'm going to start wearing windbreaker suits. The hell with all that. Yeah.
Tracksuit.
Hey, the
Like a
tracksuit is where it's at.
All day long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Look like a
man.
tracksuit from the Sopranos, man. Come on.
Wait, are you going to have like a gold chain with your Zodiac sign too if you wear a tracksuit? And
One
maybe
of the
some
other
Crocs?
I'm going to have the mafia horn on.
one of the news channel commentator type of channels I watch jokes around about tracksuits, and he's a conservative guy, so obviously he's colluding with the Russians. So now he's got an official CCCP tracksuit. It's all red, and he wears it on his show from time. It's so awesome.
Obviously.
That's awesome.
Funny.
Yeah, road crew and joggers and snuggies. That's hilarious.
At least you won't see road crews naked.
Psycho 360 says you have to open carry an AK then.
I'm just picturing Goldberg running around in a onesie.
Can anybody help explain that to me? Like, why is it perfectly fine for me to walk down the street with my rifle in my hand, but I can't carry a pistol? And I get the conceal part. How have we prevented them from keeping me from taking my rifle outside? Like, how is that still a thing?
I don't know what you mean. Are you saying that you have open carry in Maryland but only have long guns?
Yeah, from what I understand, and maybe not. It's maybe not the same all over the place, but there's other places where you can open carry a rifle, but you can't walk around. Even if you have a carry permit, you can't walk around with a handgun in your hand.
Well, if you walk around with a handgun in your hand, you're brandishing. There could be the case made for that. But if you're walking around carrying, I don't know. Maybe someone would try to get you for brandishing if you had a long gun in your hand and it wasn't slung. I don't know. I know that here in Ohio, you can open carry any damn thing you want.
Yeah.
And we have blade limits on our pocket knives as well. I think it's like 4.5 inches or something like that.
Yeah, that's something that where we're lacking is our knife laws here. Is there? It's a whole patchwork of them. It's not consistent across the state. One municipality you might be fine, to have a 4-inch assisted opening flipper knife, and the next that might be considered a switchblade and be a felony. It's just stupid as hell.
Yeah, some of the automatic knives are right on the borderline here on whether or not you're going to get busted for it or not. But if I have I'll say a 5-inch pocket knife folded up and put in my pocket, that's concealed, and I've just committed a crime. But if I have a 10-inch, butcher knife hanging off my belt, open carry, if you will, that's completely legal, and they can't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Same here. Crazy. Stupid. There have been people arrested for that very thing in Youngstown. They have a 4-inch folder in their pocket, carrying concealed weapon, felony. But you can walk around anywhere in Ohio with a fixed blade strapped to your belt openly and out in the open, and it's fine. Stupid.
It doesn't make any sense.
A friend of mine got arrested years ago. We got pulled over, and the cop was just shaking us down and got us out of the car. Now this kid we were young at the time, and he's probably the nicest person that's ever lived. The most harmless person you could ever think of meeting in your life. And his dad gave him a knife that his dad gave him, and maybe even his dad. I know it's been in the family forever, and he always carried it with him. And he got arrested, and his car got towed because he had a foldable pocket knife that exceeded the limit in his pocket.
Oh,
And
that sucks.
we were all throwing a fit and yelling at the cop, and the cop just kept looking at us, going, "Well, you can get arrested too. It's either shut up or you can get arrested too." And then eventually we just shut up, and he took my buddy away. I think we were like maybe 18 or something at the time.
Gotta love it. Got to love it. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and give the one story I have for roll calls. Well, maybe two. I guess it kind of helps because it's a good guy with a gun killing a bad guy with a gun, or at least shooting a bad guy with a gun. Good guy with a gun. We're going to still... Let me back up. We're going to go on with the self-defense shout-outs. For those of you who are new to the show or have never stuck around to the end, self-defense shout-outs are where I showcase in a story or stories wherein a good guy with a gun, contrary to what the media would have you think, where a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. Because, yes, it does happen. I am not, when I'm doing this, I am not glorifying and celebrating the death of a human being. I am, in fact, glorifying and celebrating the continued life of a human being and the fact that they had the means, method, and opportunity of which to with which to defend themselves. Seven Wonders. I'm up in Carroll County, close to Canton. I know where St. C is. I used to live down in Martins Ferry for a brief moment. Anyhow, good guy with a gun shoots suspect allegedly trying to break into Washington, D.C.'s Fox 5. A suspect allegedly trying to break into Washington, D.C.'s Fox 5 channel was shot by a security guard Monday afternoon. This is from October 22nd. The suspect was transported to a hospital in critical condition. Fox 5 reports that police responded to the alleged break-in and subsequent shooting around 3:15 p.m. Fox 8 reports that the suspect was allegedly trying to break in through the lobby. Employees at Fox 5 are safe, and police say there is no continuing threat. Fox 5's Will Cockey tweeted video of the suspect being taken from the lobby to an ambulance outside the building. So, good. I'm glad there was somebody there to protect the innocent from someone who would do them harm. And the next one, Bronx grocery store owner fatally shoots would-be robber. Soundview, Bronx. This is from October 22nd, 2018, and this is courtesy of ABC7NewYork.com, NY. ABC7NY.com. Soundview, Bronx, WABC. The owner of a Bronx grocery store shot and killed a man he says was trying to rob his business. Police say the owner of the store killed the would-be robber in self-defense, despite not finding any evidence that the intruder had a gun. It happened around 10:30 p.m. Sunday at the J Market on Morrison Avenue in the Soundview section. Police said that the 32-year-old Daniel Meeks came into the store, demanded money, and tried to jump over the counter. The 43-year-old owner shot Meeks in the head. Give him a Texas warning shot. He was pronounced dead at Jacoby Medical Center. The store owner was questioned by police, but is not expected to face any charges. The NYPD says the gun was legal, and the store owner does not have a criminal record. The police investigation is ongoing, and the name of the store owner has not yet been released. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, there have been quite a few things that have happened in the last couple of months where people were like throwing things with flammables into stores and just trying to burn them down 100%.
Holy cow.
So I'm glad that guy had a gun to defend himself and his store.
I'm glad it was legal. I'm shocked it was legal.
And don't forget, a lot of those stores are on first floors of where apartment buildings are so people are living on top.
Yeah.
the DC story that you covered that just as much as the local news did. Just so you know. And that's not even being like one day of coverage is all I got. That's it.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Not surprising.
And it wasn't
Does
like
not fit
coverage.
the
It was
agenda.
just they told the story just like you just did. And then that was it. They didn't go into anything else. All they did was read the headline. That's it. One
Well,
day.
it doesn't fit any of their narrative, so why should they continue?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It does. They don't care. I mean,
Uh,
Rotten bastards.
all of them.
yep.
And that's and see, once again, I got my tinfoil hat on, like, you like to say budget. A lot of times we talk about the Democrats of today. This is what the Democrat Party has become. It's a popular thing for these political ads to say that this isn't the Democrat Party of your father. Well, let's look back at the Democrat Party of our fathers. They were racist. They were gun grabbers. They were all evil, backstabbing, conniving. This, and I'm not saying that the Republicans are honest either. They're awful and terrible as well. But the Democrat Party has a complete and total 100% history of being the bad guy. So let's not forget, let's not pretend like, what during Reagan's administration there were good Democrats. There were not. They're exactly the same as they are right now. Well, maybe not right now. Now they've definitely
Some of them actually are the same.
well, they've ramped up their
Some of them are worse.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, they've ramped it up quite a bit nowadays. I will admit that. But they were never good before.
Seven Wonders says that I've been trying to decide on the fourth channel that I will be a Patreon of. I think I've made my decision. Well, thank you, sir. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, I talked to Seven Wonders in the chat rooms quite a bit. It's a good person right there. Nice to talk to.
All right. Well, on that note, as I said, I'm glad that these individuals had the means, method, and opportunity to defend themselves and others. That's what being a responsible gun owner is all about. That's why I carry everywhere that I am legally able to do so every day. Mowing my lawn, sitting around watching TV. Anytime I step foot outside my door, I've got a weapon of some kind on me because that's just the world we live in, and you have to be ready to defend yourself in an instant. So, good on them. Going to go ahead and go through the room and close this out. If you guys have anything you want to plug, feel free to do so. Kingpin, what do we got here, sir?
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Always a good conversation, and I appreciate it. Make sure everybody likes, share, and subscribe. Budget Guns and Gears Review, and thanks for listening.
John Z, anything you'd like to plug? Any words of wisdom, last requests, anything like that, sir?
Who?
John Z. You.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my internet's a little wonky right now.
Okay.
Nothing too much. Just go check out gunchannels.com. Subscribe to the creators on the panel as well as those on the gunchannels.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and like Budget Guns and Gear for more future awesome content.
Thank you. Oh, call. Anything you'd like to leave us with, sir?
Gizzard. Nah,
no chat napping now.
That's my job.
Thanks for having me, Budget. I enjoy the last portions of the show. If you guys don't, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but I enjoy listening to it. You can find me out on Twitter.
I know you love the
Instagram.
self-defense shout-outs, man.
I love
that's
those.
awesome.
Yeah, those are my favorites.
Same here.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, here on the YouTube, gunstreamer.com. Go look at my stuff. I try to get back to every comment. It might take a day or two, but sometimes I'm really on top of it. got a little bit of a busy schedule going. Got some videos coming out on the Roll Call 219 channel. I'd like to thank Doug, who is my latest person that flipped me some cash for my PayPal account. I really do appreciate that. I'll be spending a little bit of that money this weekend, getting some targets and some ammunition. So all you guys out there that donated, thank you very much. It keeps the channel going. It brings the cost down. Same thing with Budget and everybody else that has Patreon or any other way to flip some money in there. It keeps the channels going. So I highly suggest you go do it. Hit up their shops, buy their patches and their stickers and decals and whatever else they sell. I'm grateful to be here in this gun community. I carry every day, and thanks for having me again, Budget.
Hey, no problem, man. I enjoy having you. Squib, anything you'd like to leave us with, sir?
Tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Travis P11 channel to Caliber Corner.
There you go. Check it out, folks. Here's where I would normally plug, my Patreon, where I would plug my Instagram, Facebook, Gun Streamer, yada, yada, blah, blah, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to plug myself. I am instead going to urge you to go visit the GoFundMe for a friend of mine. His wife has cancer and has been fighting it for quite some time, and their daughter has set up a GoFundMe for them. So if you guys would go check that out and give a little something, I'd very much appreciate it. $1, $5, whatever, don't care. Just help them out. They're good people in a tight spot. Two Bobs has been gracious enough to allow me to use his property to film video on, and if you look at my earlier shooting videos, that's where I'm at, is at the La Casa del Two Bobs. So if you guys could help them out, I'd very much appreciate it. As I said, the link is there in the chat. So go and
before you sign off,
open your wallet. Yes.
For those people that are not watching the chat or cannot see it and they'll be listening audibly only later, can you just mention what it is?
It is hashtag my mom is zebra strong. One word.
Okay.
So,
hashtag my mom is zebra strong.
Let me make sure.
Got it.
Yeah. My mom is hashtag zebra strong. That's it. Okay. My mom is hashtag zebra strong. So go check that out over on GoFundMe. So, all right. As I say every week, we need to be on top of our Congress critters and elected representatives. And now more than ever, we need to be on top of everybody we know that may have even the slightest conservative bent, to get them out to the polls on Election Day. It is critical that at this point in history, we retain, I say we, but that the conservative, quote unquote, side retain control of the House of Representatives, and in particular the Senate. At this point in history, we are in a place where if Ginsburg retires, there could be a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, but only if we have 50 votes in the Senate, 51 votes in the Senate. So let's make sure that continues. Also, we need to make sure that we continue to have a majority in the House, because the House holds the purse strings. And if the Democrats get the majority in the House, they can create all kinds of havoc for the conservative side. So let's get the vote out there, people. And as always, never, ever, ever give up the fight.